The Board of Supervisors has been honored by the Columbia County Historical Society for the renovation of the courthouse for its historical accuracy and also for our efforts to make the building modern, to make it 100% accessible to everybody. And Diane Shuchuk is here. She's the Executive Director of the Historical Society, and she's going to present the award.
So we're thrilled to be here for the Historical Society because we love this building. We love for what it represents and for all the things stored in the boxes, the 18th century wills, the probate records, the 19th century wills and probate records. We're always sending people here to do research, and we're delighted to get to reopen back in your home territory. This Columbia County Historical Society is proud to present a Heritage Award to the Columbia County Board of Supervisors for the renovation and restoration of the Columbia County Courthouse. We thank you for preserving and updating this architectural gem that serves as a visible link to our history. You have respected the building's architectural detail and history while bringing its infrastructure into the 21st century to accommodate the needs of modern justice. We understand that construction, renovation, and restoration are principles not easily joined, but in this you have succeeded. We honor all of you who have been custodians of this important effort. Congratulations.
Very much. As I mentioned earlier, the Board of Supervisors is honoring Judge Roger Minor by dedicating this courthouse to him. Here to accept the resolution dedicating the courthouse to Judge Minor is Ronald Carmichael and Mark Minor, the sons of Roger Minor. And if they would come up to the lectern here, I will give them a copy of the resolution. The family would also like to read a letter from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand after we do the presentation. This is a resolution dedicating and reopening the Columbia County Courthouse in memory of the Honorable Roger Minor. Upon the recommendation of the Town of Greene Board Supervisor John Perica and Hudson City Mayor William H. Hollenbeck Jr. and the Finance Committee at a meeting held on the 23rd of October 2014, whereas Roger J. Minor was born on April 14, 1934 in Hudson, New York, passed away peacefully at his Greenport, New York home on February 18, 2012. Whereas Judge Minor graduated cum laude from the New York Law School in 1956, and was admitted to the bar of the state of New York, and he served in the U.S. Army in the Judge Advocate General Corps, where he rose to the rank of captain. And in 1959, he joined his father, Abram Minor, in private practice in Hudson, New York, and began a lengthy career in private and public practice. He served as corporation counsel for the city of Hudson and assistant district attorney in Columbia County, and was elected district attorney in Columbia County in 1968. In 1976, Judge Minor was elected to the New York State Supreme Court for the 3rd Judicial District, encompassing the Capital District in upstate New York, and including Columbia County. And 5 years later, Judge Minor was appointed by President Ronald Reagan to the United States District Court in the Northern District of New York. And in 1985, Judge Minor was elevated to 2nd Circuit Court. In 1997, Judge Minor assumed senior status and was active on the bench until the time of his passing. Whereas beyond his outstanding career on the bench, Judge Minor was a prolific scholar and frequently lectured attorneys on how to best utilize the appellate process. And whereas in recognition of the outstanding dedication, commitment, and spirit of service to Columbia County and the country as a whole, the Columbia County Board of Supervisors is honored to dedicate the Columbia County Courthouse in memory of the late Roger J. Minor. Therefore, be it resolved that the Columbia County Courthouse, located at 401 Union Street, Hudson, New York, County of Columbia, is hereby dedicated in memory of the Honorable J. Roger Minor. And this is signed by myself as chairman of the board, Matt Morrell, and William Hughes, county attorney. So I present this to the family.
On behalf of the family, I would like to thank the citizens of Columbia County and their elected officials for this honor. My stepfather, Roger Minor, Judge Minor, everybody affectionately called him the judge. He loved three things. He loved his family above all else. He loved the practice of the law, and he was a great leader and scholar, and many of his law clerks who worked and served with him over the years are here today. But also, he loved Columbia County. He grew up here, he was educated in the local schools, and he went on to be an extremely successful legal scholar and jurist. One of his law clerks is Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. And unfortunately, Senator Gillibrand could not be here today because she had a previous engagement somewhere in upstate, more upstate than we are, and she couldn't get here in time. But she asked me if I would read this letter to the assembly here today. Dear friends, while I'm sorry I did not join you in person, it is truly an honor to send greetings to each of you attending the ceremony in honor of my late friend and mentor, Judge Roger Minor. Judge Minor was an incredible jurist who dedicated his life to the practice of the law and justice. Throughout his long career, Judge Minor was a dedicated community member, an important part of our nation's judicial system. Today, as we celebrate the renovation of this courthouse, it is a fitting honor and tribute to have Judge Minor forever be remembered in memoriam for his service. The plaque, which bears his name, is a reminder for all who come through these doors of the contribution Judge Minor made to the community throughout his tenure. With this dedication, we honor Judge Minor and ensure that his legacy will be preserved for generations to come. I send my best wishes for a wonderful event, and thank you all and the community leaders who made this possible. Sincerely, Kirsten Gillibrand, United States Senator. And on behalf of Senator Gillibrand, we would like to give the county and the courthouse a United States flag, which has flown over the U.S. Capitol.
Thank you very much. Somebody said, Pat, you gotta say a few words, so I'm gonna say very few. My mother and father taught me 3 rules. 1, never to lose your temper in public. The second is never to use bad language. And 3, to always say thank you. Those of you that know me and work with me know how successful or unsuccessful I've been in following. But today, publicly, I'm here to say thank you. There's so many people to thank for the renovation and rededication of the courthouse. First, the entire Board of Supervisors who supported this project for the reconstruction of the courthouse. In these challenging times, it required bravery and resolve and the willingness to support a project when we were often challenged fiscally in county government. This project was discussed over 20 years ago, and the support of the supervisors was essential for having this done. I'd ask any members of the Board of Supervisors who were present, former supervisors, to stand so we can give them a round of applause. Three supervisors, Supervisor Ron Knott from Stuyvesant, Jeff Nair from Copape, and Mike Benson from New Lebanon, brought all their talents and skills as contractors to the table. They worked tirelessly with David Robinson in bringing the plans on paper into fruition and to see the work that you see today. I know that Jeff Nair and Ron Knott spent almost every Tuesday throughout this whole project in the mornings, working here, meeting with the contractors and the architect. They deserve special recognition. late as an hour ago, the Facilities Department was hanging the portrait of Judge Minor, which is downstairs in the lobby, above the plaque showing that the courthouse is dedicated to him. And without them, their efforts, they work Saturdays, they work nighttime, work tremendously hard, this wouldn't have happened. And under the leadership of their department head, Bob Pinto, all of them, we thank them and we recognize them especially. Two judges who were invited could not be here today due to prior family commitments, Judge George Ceresia and Judge George A. Pulver Jr. Judge Ceresia worked very closely with the county in the formative years of this project, developing a plan that would be acceptable to the Office of Court Administration, the State of New York, the Division of Corrections, and Columbia County, and his efforts were critical in bringing the start in this project. I'd also like to thank Judge George Pulver Jr. for his words of encouragement and sound advice that he provided me during this process. The Honorable Karen Peters, Presiding Justice of the Appellate Division, has also sent her regrets on not being able to attend today's ceremony. Finally, I would like to thank two people for their help and assistance. Our first is our librarian, Laura Hankin, who spent many hours coming in, even on her day off, researching the history of the courthouse, all of which is contained in the brochure that is available to you. And there's plenty of them here, so everybody can take at least one copy for themselves. Her efforts gave us all the information necessary, so we could even include a list of all the judges, county, Supreme, acting Supreme, and the Circuits Court, who have served in this courthouse since 1900. I also want to thank Lisa Brightly-Mortensen for her expertise and skills. She put together the invitations, she put together the program, and she put together the brochure, and I thank her very much for her efforts. I'm going to introduce now our county clerk, who also serves as clerk of the county and Supreme Courts, Holly Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, everyone, to this very momentous day. And I'm sure I will be the first of many to congratulate and thank our chairman, Pat Ratman, for his dedication, his expertise, and his leadership on getting this courthouse renovation completed. So, Chairman, on behalf of all of us in this room and those who are outside the room, thank you very much. Okay, well, yes, let me say, as county clerk and clerk of the Supreme and County Court, this is a very exciting day for us as well. My office is directly involved with the courthouse in that capacity, and so this is very thrilling for us as well. I have the great pleasure and honor today of introducing a host of speakers, and let me just say that I'm glad to be standing with them behind me and not facing them, our good judges. So without further ado, we will get underway. And I have my first bio on my phone. While I'm doing that, let me, passwords are so much fun. Before we get started, I would like to introduce Tuesday, November 4th, was a momentous day in the 3rd Judicial District, and I just want to take a moment to introduce the first female elected to the Supreme Court, Lisa Fisher. Lisa? Our first speaker today is the administrative judge for the 3rd Judicial District, the Honorable Thomas Breslin.
It's a real pleasure to be here. First, on behalf of the court administration, Judge Ceresia and Judge McCure preceded me, who work hand in hand with Pat and all the other supervisors. It goes without saying that the court administration is involved. Pat Ratman and the supervisors got this done. From our vantage point in terms of the court system, Pat Ratman is the man of the year. Thank you so much. Just one other aside, there's not a harder working guy working in the courthouse in the state of New York. And I've heard this several times, and just a special thanks to Bob. You know, it's really fitting that this courthouse be now dedicated to Roger Meyer. The person really is a legend to anybody that grew up in this part of the state. And he really just created a persona, a legend that really is going to live on and on. It's so fitting that this courthouse be named in his honor. But you know, the citizens of Columbia County are very fortunate. They always seem to select wisely and well their judges. And the legacy continues. And we're all better off for it that we have the likes of John Nichols, Richard Covey, Richard Mott, and now soon to be Lisa Fisher. All counties should be so lucky to have such wonderful people looking over this system and making sure it works. With that, thank you for having me here. And it's just such a great day to be in such a beautiful courtroom and such a beautiful building. Congratulations, one and all.
Thank you, Judge Breslin, and thank you for being here. Our next speaker is a veteran. He served in private practice. He was on the CJA panel attorney for the U.S. District Court. He was an assistant public defender and Kinderhook Town attorney before being elected Supreme Court judge, and that is Richard Mott.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and members of the Minor family. Good afternoon. Chairman Bratton and the members of the Board of Supervisors, distinguished guests, members of the bar and bench, friends, colleagues, and citizens of Columbia County. I'm honored and very grateful for the opportunity to address you on this momentous occasion, namely the dedication of the Roger J. Meyer Columbia County Courthouse. Renovating a courthouse, as you can imagine, to meet the needs of the information age requires far more than a decision that an updated facility is required. The Board of Supervisors, and especially the Chairman, Pat Bratton, who spearheaded the project, deserve much credit in shepherding this project to its fruition, as does the Office of Court Administration and all the others, including Laura Hankin, who participated in it. The ceremony demonstrates that cooperation among government agencies can achieve great things, as we now have a facility that accommodates the needs of the public that it serves. Now, this courthouse, most of you probably know, is the third courthouse to stand on this site since 1835, having replaced in 1908 the 1901 courthouse that was destroyed by fire on January 27, 1907, on a Sunday morning, when the janitor, who then resided on the third floor of this building, of the building that preceded this building, noticed that there was a fire. He immediately called the alarm, but unfortunately his daughter and granddaughter, who were on the third floor at the time, almost perished in the fire, but for the brave firemen and women who came to the site. And the daughter, the 1.5-year-old daughter, she was tossed down into someone's awaiting arms, and the firemen were able to rescue the woman, actually. So that's a little tidbit about the courthouse that preceded this one. But anyway, this courthouse has been here for a long time, and if you look at the back of the room, that mural back there depicts Judge Peter Van Ness getting out of the coach to come into the courthouse in 1835. Yes, Columbia County has a rich history of titans in the legal field and on the bench, among them being President Van Buren. In addition to that, President Van Buren, almost the second president of the United States, Samuel Tilden of New Lebanon, who won the popular vote in 1876, but was defeated in the Electoral College by Rutherford B. Hayes that year by one electoral vote. Now, also, Alexander Hamilton, he was a practitioner back in that first courthouse in he tried the last case in that courthouse in Claverick, sometime before it moved, around 1805 it moved. So, in addition to those gentlemen, we have from, I'm just naming a few actually, we have Robert R. Livingston from Claremont, who was one of the founding fathers of the United States, and he was one of the 5 a committee of 5 chosen to draft the Declaration of Independence. And he was also the Chancellor of New York at the time. That was the highest judiciary office in the state of New York. And he also administered the presidential oath to George Washington during his inauguration, and negotiated Louisiana Purchase. In addition, his celebrated brother, Edward, was the mayor of New York City, a United States Senator, and also a United States Secretary of State. However, in the last 50 to 60 years in this county, Jeffrey Minor, is hands down the most prominent member of the bar in Columbia County, having risen in the late 1950s from a member of his father Abe's firm on West Court Street, just across Washington Square Park out here, Kitty Corner, on West Court Street. And he rose from there, as has been indicated before by others, to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. And from there, he almost on 2 occasions was appointed to the United States Supreme Court. Judge Minor was fiercely independent, a brilliant legal scholar, totally committed to the fair and impartial administration of justice and to the highest standards of legal ethics. I had the good fortune to practice before Judge Minor, both when he was on the trial bench in the Northern District of New York, in Albany, and also when he was on the panel of 3 in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals at Foley Square in New York City. And I can confirm categorically that you always felt when you're in front of Judge Minor that you had a shot at winning. Because Judge Minor was the kind of guy who only decided cases on the law. So, you knew if you were right on the law, you were going to win in front of Judge Minor. No other factors entered into his decision-making from my vantage. And when you had to appear before him for an oral argument in the Court of Appeals, there'd usually be about 15 cases on the calendar in a day. One day I remember being there, and I think I was like the 12th or 13th case on the calendar. And believe me, the appeals that were heard before mine were very complicated, some of them commercial appeals. This judge had an intimate knowledge of all the facts of all these cases and asked trenchant questions of the litigants. So you knew if you're going to argue an appeal in front of Judge Minor, you darn well had better be prepared at the risk of being embarrassed in front of your peers. So, Judge Minor had an abiding commitment to the highest ethical standards, and the fact that he did can be gleaned from his reaction when he was lobbied back in 1987 when Lewis Powell had resigned from the Supreme Court of the United States and Judge Minor was being considered. He was lobbied by a senator by telephone, and the senator wanted to know how he would rule on the very controversial issue at the time, abortion. Judge Minor refused to tip his hand. Judge Minor said, I will decide every case on its own merit. That popular opinion has it that was the reason why Judge Minor was not selected for the Supreme Court of the United States. Again, he was considered in 1990 when William Brennan retired. But Judge Minor is reported to have said that my reputation is too high of a price to pay for a seat on the Supreme Court. Judge Minor also wrote and spoke about the manner in which U.S. Supreme Court judges are selected. And he advocated for legal excellence rather than political considerations, such as friendship, ideological compatibility, or ideological balance. Judge Minor's career, simply put, personifies the words that are affixed to the front of the United States Supreme Court, namely equal justice under the law.